Welcome back, Panther fans. I hope everyone enjoyed their bye week. I'm David Brown here once again with Ryan Graham, and this is State of Atlanta. Oh, that was a really bad opening, wasn't it?
I already opened my beer, so
Yeah,
I cheated a little bit.
You lush.
Well, I was tired of waiting on you.
To be fair, I've already had 5 before we started, so or 4. I can't count.
Yeah.
I've had enough to not know what number I've had. So, so how was your week, Ryan?
It's been good. You know, it was weird because I didn't realize that. So Georgia has sort of slipped my mind, even though they're one of the best teams in the country. Because I'm such a Georgia State fan.
People think they're going to be good this year, right?
I mean, they're okay. They're okay,
Right,
I guess.
right,
yeah,
right.
but the thing is I'm such a Georgia State fan. They slipped my mind. I didn't realize that we both had the same bye week.
Yeah, because I actually I don't watch Georgia games regularly because of Georgia State, and if Georgia plays after Georgia State, I'm normally too buzzed and upset, or on the random chance happy that I don't pay attention. So I do like to spend the bye week watching the other Georgia schools -1, and so
it turns out even though Georgia Tech played, they had a bye week too.
Apparently so. They lost their bye week.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, that's actually one thing I wanted to talk about. So how do you feel about the bye week jokes? Like, undefeated against the bye, or coming in, but the bye has not lost this season.
A team like us, with our history of losing, I mean, we don't do too well.
Right.
Typically, we have 2 winning seasons, I think, through our 10-year history.
One? I think 1.
Do we only have 1?
Yeah, I think
we had 2.
Not, I think.
No, because we have a winning season when we beat Western Kentucky in the bowl game 2 years ago.
Okay, and then the first one.
Yeah,
You're right too.
So when you have that many losing seasons, I think you just got to take the jokes and you got to laugh at them, and you kind of got to think they're a little funny.
We'll take every win, regardless if a team showed up or not.
That's right.
Whether they were supposed to be there or not. Yeah, it kind of annoys me sometimes. You see the jokes because they're all overdone. It's the exact same thing every time.
It's the same joke every time.
It's the exact same joke every single time. There's nothing original with it, but I've made them myself, so I can't really make fun too much. But yeah.
And that being said, we obliterated bye on Saturday.
Well, we didn't score.
Neither did they, though. Our defense finally held up.
Exactly. Defense held them to 0 points. But we're making all those exact same jokes right now. So there was no Georgia game to watch. So did you end up watching college football at all?
No, I didn't. I don't know what I did on Saturday. My wife was out of town, and I can't tell you what I did right now.
Yeah, I did watch. My wife was also out of town. I had the kids with me, but the little one sleeps like a champ. I'm gonna say that, and she's gonna start waking up immediately. But the big kid, I was able to play with her while having football on the entire time. There wasn't much going on. I put on the UNC Clemson game just to watch Clemson get their first 2 or 3 touchdowns in the first 5 minutes.
And then it turned out being a good game, right?
Right, yeah. A coworker of mine to sit right next to, she's a huge UNC fan, and basketball, obviously, but obviously cheers for the football team. And so I put the game on, to be able to tell her that I watched a little bit, and I watched the whole game. I'm texting her the entire time, what's going on? Did you watch any of that game at all, or follow it at all?
I only follow. I mean, I just saw the score, and my dad and my grandpa, we do this group text every Saturday, and I started getting texts about it. So.
Right, yeah. So they get it very end, a minute and a half to go. UNC scores this touchdown. Point after ties it, and Mac Brown decides to go for 2 to try to close out the game, I guess.
And failed.
It was a really weird play. I don't know if it was poorly executed, poorly designed.
Maybe just figured he was lucky up to that point or something.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying. There was a minute and a half left. Even if they had taken the lead, I mean, Clemson has a lot of time to go back and do something. But anyhow.
So by football math, though, basically, Clemson better look out for App State.
Yeah, well, they dropped.
What, Clemson did?
Dropped in the rankings. They're number 2 now.
Is Georgia number 1 then? No, Alabama's still number 1.
Right. Well, not still. Clemson was number 1. So yeah. I think I heard that somewhere. I may be lying. I don't know. Well, if I'm not lying. I may just be not.
Welcome to State of Atlanta, where we make stuff up.
Exactly.
If we don't know it, we'll lie.
Exactly. We'll say it with such confidence. Exactly.
No, I remember what I did on Saturday. I went to Georgia State Stadium. They did a makers fair, is what they called it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They had cosplay people that made stuff. They had soldering classes, and they were building robots and all kinds of cool stuff.
That's neat.
And the big screen that they have above the bookstore, know, they had Mario playing, and they had a giant Nintendo controller that they had created, and they were playing Mario on that giant screen. Yeah, it was great.
Wow, I should have gone to that. That sounds better than
the Falcons. Oh wait, no, that
Falcons was on Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, but no, that was not fun. There was a little bit of news that came out. Not really news. It was from the AJC, so it's not news at all. They did another little.
Man, I thought I had a thing against the AJC.
I wrote down they did a hit piece on it, but I wrote that down before I actually got a chance to read the article. I did go and read the article before this. The title was "Defense is Georgia State's Early Identifiable Problem."
Oh. What?
Really?
What?
They obviously put their best sportscaster on this article because
Is this John Madden? Is that right?
I know what, I didn't even write down who the guy was. It wasn't one of the normal names that makes fun of us. It was another name that makes fun of us.
You know, Georgia State would actually would win more games if they were better at football. I don't know if you knew that.
I've found through my history of watching football, which is not vast, but it tends to be that if you're able to score more points than you give up, most often you win the game.
That's deep. That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah,
you should get paid by the AJC.
It can't be any worse.
How long was that article? I mean, it was like
it was decent,
couple
size.
pages, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah, but there wasn't much to be said. They were giving up 41.5 points per game. Like, yeah, I've noticed that, but yeah,
so unprofessional.
Whatever. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be going into it, but it was definitely the AJC being AJC. So anyhow, bye week's over. We look ahead now. We have Arkansas State making a return trip to Georgia. They lost to UGA 55-0, so we only have to beat them by more than that to prove that we're better than UGA.
That's right. That's right. That's football math again.
And
right?
then when Tennessee whoops up on Georgia this weekend, we can come out and say we are the best team in the state of Georgia, right? That's how it works.
We only need Tennessee to whoop up on Georgia, but don't hold your breath.
Yeah, did you see that week one they lost to some crappy school from? Oh wait, it was us. They lost
from Georgia. From Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah. So Arkansas is 3-2, coming off of a win against Troy, I think it was.
Who else did they lose against? Do you know?
I do have that here. Yes,
nice.
They lost SMU. Week one.
People ought to know that we don't discuss this, so when I ask questions, I am gambling.
Yes, I keep on my toes preparing.
And I have no show notes, so...
I even messaged him today, hey, we're going to talk about this, and he's kind of like, don't care.
No, I was at a dinner, and I was definitely reading an article on CNN.
Okay.
Like, while somebody was speaking that I really wanted to pay attention to, because I was like, I can't let him down.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be a first. All right, so... Lost to SMU in the week one. Then they went and curb stomped UNLV 43-17. And then lost to UGA 55-0. And then beat Southern Illinois 41-28. So, I mean, they let FCS school put 28 points on them, but it was 41. So, who knows?
Those first two games, they did not have Blake Anderson as coach, though, right? Like, he came back for the Georgia game.
I could be wrong on this, but I think I heard on the news, or College Game Day or whatever, was that he showed up in the locker room before the UNLV game.
But he probably didn't do it.
So he wasn't there for the week doing the training and whatnot. Yeah. And then they beat Troy 50-43. So Troy put 43 points up on them. So their defense, which
is worse than ours, right?
Yeah, it's ranked. We're ranked out of 130 schools. We're ranked 122nd, and Arky's ranked 124.
That means something.
At that level, does it really matter? Yeah, I think if you're talking about, hey, we're 50 and they're 97, maybe that means something, but 122, 124, 4 games in.
I don't know. And we also have this tendency to take these teams that are terrible at something and, like, allow them to fix it.
Well, yeah, Texas
Whatever
State.
it is, they just fix it.
That was a prime example. I think Texas State had, 18 yards rushing all season long, including last year and the previous 20 years of football, and we gave up 200-something on them. But also one thing of note that I noticed, because it's a note, so they've had no bye at all. So they're 5 games in straight so far. They've had no break. They have a lot of injuries. There was
the quarterback is injured.
Quarterback's out, right?
Yeah,
I think he's out. He's out for the season. Yeah. And then there was a whole list that they finished the game with.
Ryan Graham is still healthy.
Is he though?
Not right now, but
so I mean, there's an opportunity there. I mean, we've had 2 weeks to prepare, try to do something, figure out how to stop somebody from running up the middle over and over and over again.
It does seem like quite a challenge in such a fundamental thing that you could just fix, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, because it's been the problem the entire season. I mean, 4 games. But, I mean, it's 2 weeks to prepare. I mean, the AJC identified it for everybody. Coach Elliott only needs to turn to the back page of the sports page section of the AJC to find out where the problem was.
Stack the middle.
Exactly. So hopefully something. The line opened up as us 5-point underdogs. It's moved to 7.5. So Vegas thinks that
2 touchdowns ish
Yeah,
on a
touchdown.
neutral field. On
Yeah.
a neutral field, because 3 points for the home
yeah,
field.
yeah.
advantage.
So a touchdown game.
It'd be
basically.
homecoming though, so I'm thinking that we'll have a pretty good turnout.
There's been a lot of marketing for this game. Even the other sports teams, of baseball and baseball, I think, have been like tweeting out to
Yeah.
their fans to come out to the game. There's a lot of other things going on. They're doing the movie after the game.
Oh yeah.
Did you?
What is the heavyweights?
Heavyweights. Have you seen this movie before?
Yeah. I have.
Really? I have never heard of it at all. Like,
So do you know that? Do you remember that movie with Ben Stiller where he runs a fat camp or something?
no, yeah. So I looked it up. Because I had never heard of it.
No, it's not a fat camp where he's
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, but Ben Stiller is in this, and he plays the same character he does in Dodgeball. He's the same character. It's
Gotcha.
the same universe.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Are you making that up? Or?
No, he shows
Because-
up,
because
and he
we-
like literally plays the same character.
Okay, now I actually kind of because I think we're sticking around, depending on how
Yeah.
the big kid's doing.
My kids can't do 4 hours plus.
That's what I'm concerned about. My wife wants to go, and
I only have one kid, guys. Seriously, I had a few beers before we started.
My wife she was all excited about it, but I looked at the movie because I had never heard of it before, and I assumed it was maybe like a recent release of a Disney film or something. And no, it's 95. That's like my
yeah.
wheelhouse. Like,
That's
you know,
good.
I'm a proud
That's
90s
good
guy.
90s nostalgia.
But I looked it up, and so yeah, the IMDb description of the movie is: plump kids are lured into joining a posh fat camp with the promise of quick weight loss and good times,
Yep.
only to find that the facility is woodland hellhole run by a psycho ex-fitness instructor, Ben Stiller.
Yep.
And he's like, so I look at the credits list on it. He's like on the next page. He's not even on the first page of like credits.
He
on the
doesn't show
movie.
up a whole bunch.
Yeah. So it's the same guy from Dodgeball.
But he might even have the same
What was
name.
his name? Like Wyatt. Wyatt was his name, I think, in Dodgeball.
Boy, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's got a Rotten Tomato score of 29%.
Was that bad or good? I don't know.
Yeah, you want to be closer to 100. The audience, that's like.
But
so
sometimes you like cult
So-
classics are low scoring, right?
So
on
Rotten
purpose?
Tomatoes does like, I guess, like their critic score, and then they have an audience score. The audience
Yeah.
score is 77%.
Yeah, that's good.
IMDb gives it a 6.6 out of 10. So yeah, I didn't really mean to talk a lot about this movie, but
Heavyweights!
it may be the best thing that we see on the field. Or no,
I think we've got a good chance.
I really think we do. I mean, we've looked really horrible in the last 2 games. We started off the Furman game really, really poorly. But I do think the bye week came at a perfect time. And
was
beginning of the
perfect.
season, if you had said we would be coming to homecoming 2-2, so many people would have said that was a good start to the season. We just started
Texas
out
State, unfortunately, would have been
one of
those
those.
two.
Yeah, with Furman and Texas State were the expected wins,
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
So I'm not feeling too horrible about it. But yeah, tailgating though, that's the most important. This comes up before the game is tailgating.
Yep.
You going to get down there early again?
Probably like 9 or 10 is what I'm thinking.
That's what I want to do.
Same old, same old.
That's what it's supposed to be a good day for it. The heat's going to break a little bit. I think it's a high of 83 right now. I say I think. I looked it up.
It
Yeah.
was miserable that first game.
It was very, very hot. Very, very hot. I think that a lot of people like us, or myself included, kind of went to that first tailgate, kind of scoping out what the new situation was like, the new setting and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a lot better this week from what it was. I mean, it was great the first week, but I think people will get down there a little bit earlier because it's a 3:30 game, so obviously they'll get down earlier.
You got the big sponsored tailgate. You know.
Well, there's the pack tailgate,
Yeah.
which is a for pay tailgate this time. So
Yeah.
you got to pay $25 to get food and drinks.
But it's like unlimited drinks plus a barbecue plate.
Yeah, I think you get like one food plate, and then you get unlimited drinks, which is great.
Jim and Nick's
for
I think,
$25.
which is solid.
I mean,
It's
that's-
solid.
that's-
It's fine.
$25 I can drink, but it's like what 2 hours before kickoff or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't drink any of that. Like I feel like they have bad choices in booze. So what I end up doing is bringing my PBR in.
Well, what I did at the other tailgate, the pack tailgates, when we were out in the handicap spots the past couple of years, or last year, I guess, they had the event set up right there. I would just walk in there and grab their beer and come back out to our tailgate.
That's right.
I'm like, hey, I got free beer in there. They gave me a bunch of cards for it. But Yeah, that'll be good for people that don't want to tailgate or don't have the ability to tailgate or whatever, or first time coming down and whatnot. But I think you have to buy them before. I don't know if you can buy.
I have not bought my tickets yet. So.
I'm not going to.
No,
I'm not going to. I mean,
what are you going to bring for tailgating? Do you have a plan?
Yes, I am. I have. I have to smoke some pork butts for another event over the weekend, so I figured I'd throw a couple more on, and I think we're gonna do some pulled pork sandwiches.
All right.
And
well, I probably won't buy $25 tickets for barbecue either.
There you go. Oh yeah, I didn't. Yeah, exactly. So, I was actually talking to Tim, who was on our I think our third episode.
One of them.
Yeah, talking to Tim, and I'm trying to figure out how. So I'm going to cook them the day before, or smoke them the day before, and then like pull it and vacuum seal it. So I just have to reheat it. The next day, I was like, I didn't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to pull a grill out there or whatever? And he's like, crock pot. I'm like,
it's a good idea.
Genius.
Yep.
Genius. He's a professional tailgater. He knows what he's doing. So yeah,
and we've got the power generator.
And we have the power generator over there.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have that all set up. I think that'll be good. I think we're going to get a few people around us to try to chip in and get the whole thing going to make a really big tent city type tailgate type deal. So
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Do you do sauce? Do you have your own sauce, or do you?
I've worked on a couple of different sauces. I've never liked any of them, so I'll just do some commercial sauce. You know what I really like? I like the Kroger brand Memphis style barbecue sauce.
So when we do, I'm gonna break our rule about adult only or NSFW, whatever. I'm gonna cuss a little bit.
Okay.
But it's about barbecue sauce, so I feel like it's fine.
We talked about barbecue sauce in the first episode, but let's go ahead and rehash it all over again.
Did I talk about this? So whenever I do barbecue chicken at home, my wife puts it into a marinade of the Kroger, just the basic Kroger, and what she calls it basic bitch Kroger.
Okay.
Right? And then we mix soy sauce into it, and then we let it marinate for however long, and we grill it, and we just like char it.
You're brining it. You're brining
it. Yeah, it's so good. It's fine. You know?
Yeah. No, I like it. It's fine.
It's a barbecue flavor. It's not the best in the world, but it's not bad.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, and it's probably made by some other big barbecue.
Maybe that's what I can provide this time. Maybe I can make
an assortment of store brand sauces.
No, maybe I'll make some barbecue sauce.
Ah, taking it up a next level. I like it. I'm
sauce.
anxious to see. What you got going on.
Don't
over
hold
there.
your breath, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
I might just buy some Chick-fil-A again.
It's never a bad thing. I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever at all. Yeah, so Arkansas State, homecoming game. Looking forward to get back out there. It's been 4 or 5 weeks since we had a game over there.
After that first game, though, and how hot it was, I'm not upset that it took so long to have another home game.
Right, yeah, no. Same here.
That's the right move. I'm not upset at all. So
did you pay attention to what the other teams in the conference did over the bye week for us?
Yikes.
Did not pay attention at all. Yeah, either did I. I looked it up for this. So
look, I have some rules in my house. And I have preference to watch Georgia State, and the Falcons. And anyone else, I don't get the TV.
Well, I didn't watch it. I'm just saying, did you look up the scores? Did you see what happened? To see what's going on in the league?
Now you're calling me out. And no, right. I didn't.
Our colleagues down south didn't fare so well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and our colleagues down the street didn't fare so well.
Well, I knew that one. I did know that one. But
right.
Who did the colleagues? No. Who did our lessers play and lose to?
The should have never left FCS school.
Yeah.
Ooh La La.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they lost.
Nice. Oh, they are also terrible human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're more terrible when it comes to basketball than
That's
they are.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
I love that we've it's been an organic creation of the rivalry. It hasn't been forced based on geography, where I feel like that other school was sort of forced. We might not hate them if we lived in South Carolina.
I was not going to ask this question. I hadn't thought of this question until just now, but now that you bring it up, do you think that the rivalry between us and those guys down south would be as big as it is if the acronym thing had not been an issue?
Yeah, probably. Just because of us both being in the FCS for a time, and then us both coming up. The
GSU thing, the GSU thing, the real GSU, and all that kind of stuff. That was well before we ever had football.
I mean, that's a really dumb argument.
It is. It's horrible. I didn't really want to get into that at all. But I'm just you made the point about the geography and whatnot, and I'm kind of curious if we still think that rivalry would have be what it was or what it is if the acronym had not been so similar.
I think it's more geography and timeline, and also, God, okay, I'm not gonna do the NSFW thing again, but certain people online went and antagonized other people, and I'm not gonna say it wasn't our people that went antagonized.
Oh yeah, there's trolling on both sides.
So it got created by a small group of people, but I think that it would have happened organically anyway, just because of. We were both FCS, and they didn't want to see us succeed because we were like coming in on their turf, and it was their turf, no matter what you think. And then we moved up, and they didn't.
This is a great conversation to do, and we could do an entire episode on this
season.
Rivalry. Yeah, talking about what all it means, everything. But yeah, so we can get into that, and I like that idea. But we can, yes, they lost. Ooh la la, 37-24. They're 1-3. Tech's 1-3. UGA is like 18-0 right now. So Georgia State on maybe trending in the wrong direction, but we are the second best FBS school in the state of Georgia right now.
We could just go ahead and call ourselves the best and just not count Georgia. I'm fine with that. Yeah, they're just off on their own, with Alabama and Clemson and some of the others. Like they're just semi-pro.
We are the best team off of an interstate.
That's
in Georgia. 316's on an interstate.
Nope. I was doing the math. Nobody could see, but I did sort of look up, trying to do some math.
What it was really like, his eyes kind of rolled back in his head is what I really saw exactly. But so that game happened. We're the second best team in the state of Georgia, best in the city of Atlanta for sure. App beat Coastal 56-37. That was just like a shootout. So Coastal's got ability to score some points.
And we're playing them the following week.
Are they the next? We're going up there too, aren't we?
We're playing them there, yeah. Eventually, and we're not doing this this year, but I'm just gonna make that a family vacation. Go to Myrtle Beach for the weekend.
I was not excited about Coastal joining the league because their stadium was small. They just didn't. That teal field,
so ugly.
They just didn't seem like it was really seemed like it was a stretch to go to find another school to move up to FBS, but. I was like, you know what? During a fall Myrtle Beach trip every other year, that sounds great. Never gone. Never even made plans to go.
Having a 3-year-old changes the whole equation of going to the beach for the weekend only. And
if you have the opportunity to have a 3-year-old, go and pass on that one hard. It's not good. But
sometimes, if you could just selectively have a 3-year-old.
Mine's not even 3 yet. She's not even 3 to the end of this year. We'll see.
When they're great, they're great, and then when they're not, you don't get to go to Myrtle Beach for the weekend.
Yeah, like I was telling some people, there are things about having a kid. I don't want to be those kind of parents. I never knew what love was before until I looked in the eyes of my newborn child. That ain't a crap. But I will say, when you have a kid and they're good. It's the best feeling in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the other 23 and a half hours of the day.
Careful, your wife listens to this.
Oh, I've told that to her so many times. Yeah. She's going to be rolling her eyes in the back of her head when she listens to it. So, all right. So, App beat Coastal, big shootout. Ark State beat Troy, 43, which you talked about or brought up. Texas State beat Nichols 24-3. So obviously we were their tune-up game.
Well, Nichols is FCS,
FCS,
right?
Yeah.
Nichols State. You even say their name right because you don't care.
Yeah, I don't. Nichols State.
Do you know where they are? Do you know what state they are?
I'm assuming probably Texas.
Is there a state called Nichols?
No, there's a coin. There's a coin called Nichols.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. But the funny thing was, this FCS school was a 4-point favorite going into San Marcos to play Texas State.
That's sad because we were a 3-point dog.
Right.
I know we lost by 3 points.
It was
perfect, but it's pretty sad that we didn't get that.
But yeah, USA beat Monroe 30-17, which I think is interesting because on the boards, I believe that Ben was saying that USA will be the only team that we're favored for.
Nickel State is in your least favorite state.
Oh, makes sense. But Ben was saying that USA is probably the only game we'll be favored in the rest of the season. We also play Monroe, and so if we can beat USA, we can beat Monroe, but we got to see how things play out.
I think we can always beat Monroe, right? They're one of these schools that never quite gets better, but they always win a game they shouldn't win. And
I think there's more people that went to my high school that are enrolled at Monroe.
It's pretty small.
It's like 8,000 or something like that.
It's the middle of nowhere. It's the boonies.
Right. We should be able to. I mean, yeah. I think
And they have no money.
Isn't Monroe the one that Waterboy movie was based off of?
I think so. And then that's where Duck Dynasty. Those people
Oh,
are like
yeah,
they're like
yeah.
bankrolling the entire program.
Do they still make money? Is that still a thing?
Oh, well, I mean, they were for a little while.
Yeah. So those guys down south, they're playing Thursday night against USA, South Alabama. So
I watch that.
Yeah, I'm not watching that at all.
Some Fun Belt action.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good for them to be able to get on the national TV to watch it. And
Wait,
good
what's
for
the NFL game on Thursday night? Because I might watch that instead.
I don't know. I did not prepare for
Ah,
You got me.
There's me not taking notes and asking you for notes.
Yeah. So, but are you gonna? You're not gonna watch the Thursday night.
I'm not gonna watch the Thursday night NFL game either.
No.
I told you there's rules. Unless it's the Falcons, I'm not gonna watch it.
Well, you'll watch us on Thanksgiving night then, because the Falcons play on Thanksgiving against the team from the state that I hate the most.
Ah.
Yeah, so
If people didn't know, it's New Orleans. I mean, it's Louisiana.
the state of New Orleans.
Fuck. Oh, shit.
Where's the timestamp
you
on
can
that?
bleep that.
All right, 25 minutes in, got to go
My
back
bad,
and
guys. This is what happens when we pregame.
We didn't even pregame together. I was pregaming alone at home like a sad piece of garbage.
Whoa. It just got real.
It happens. So power rankings. I don't even know if we want to keep on talking about power rankings at this point.
They got it right though. We are lower than Texas State.
We are below Texas State,
Yeah.
but those pieces of garbage down south are still up there, 1-3, and they're ahead of a 3-2 Coastal Carolina, a 2-2 Louisiana Monroe, a 2-3 Texas State, and a 2-2 Georgia State.
Do they have more than one person voting? Because I think we do.
We do. Well, but we got
we have
Scott, but
and-
he's a Troy alum who's writing for Georgia State. So
Yeah, I'll call him a homer. We have.
I'm sure he's giving us.
We've
benefit
stacked the
of
deck
doubt.
and we're 8.
But Ben posted what his ballot was, and
did
I think he had us at 9. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, I think I'm fair. I'm fine with where we are, but obviously they've got their homers on their side. It's App State and Ooh La La, obviously perfectly placed at 1 and 2.
I mean, App State, and they have all the number 1 votes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
all seven
they
votes.
They should,
Yeah. So and
That's
South
right.
Alabama coming in below us, so we're not the worst.
Yet.
Yeah. So
We'll be fine.
yeah, I'm not too worried about it. All right, well, I think that kind of covers it for Georgia State and Sunbelt football. You want to talk about basketball a little bit?
Sure.
I did not message you about this at all, but did you happen to catch that interview with Coach Lanier on the hoopshd.com website or whatever? Someone posted it or whatever.
I barely know what you just said.
Coach Lanier is the new head coach of Georgia State basketball.
What?
He came from Tennessee as an assistant or co-coach or something like that. Anyhow, so it was a really short interview with Coach Lanier. I just wanted to talk about it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it up or not, but I was reading through it this morning, and there was a couple of things that just kind of stood out to me. So after they lost their tournament game, they were heading back. He says he got the call from Georgia State. I'm assuming it was probably some intermediary party. It wasn't probably actually Georgia State that was calling.
Idea how it works.
But yeah, he said that he almost said no on the phone immediately, but then thought better of it and said, obviously I just need to, do my due diligence and take a look at it and everything. So, but he was a hard no coming into his interview and everything, and he said he got here and
How do you have an interview and you're a hard no?
well,
Hard
actually,
no,
I say
don't do-
hard no is my verb,
Oh,
my
okay, all right,
terminology.
all right, my bad.
He had thought to himself it was a no going into it, but he said he met with Charlie Cobb and crew, administration, and everything, and he said that their commitment to the vision, or their commitment to basketball and their vision for the future of the basketball program really made him second guess himself. And when he left, and before he even got to his car, he'd called his wife and said, "There's something special going on over here." And so he,
Interesting.
I mean, and for all I know, this is all a bunch of BS.
Oh, it
and-
sounds nice though.
But yeah, so I liked the way he said what he said, and of course it was written word, so who knows how it actually sounded. But
Well, and we do
curious-
have some things going on, and basketball is where we've seen most of our success, and
right.
so I think.
Well, I'm
there's-
wondering. Well, obviously they showed him or told him about the convocation center. He knew that something better was coming.
Yep.
So he probably saw the renderings well before they were ever released and everything. But I'm wondering, and this is a stretch. This is a big stretch. I acknowledge that. But do you think that some private information was shared about potential conference changes for us in the future?
I don't think so, but I mean, I'm sure it was shared what the goal is, because I mean, that's been public, right? Like Mark Becker has come out and said that the goal is AAC.
Right.
And so I don't think it's a stretch to say that they told people that.
Right.
But I guess they could have been saying that like there's something in the works. I mean, when we beat Tennessee, they were like, "Oh, I guess Georgia State heard there was an AAC opening."
It was like Forbes.
Yeah.
Forbes was saying that. Yeah. So I liked what he said about that. There's one comment he said I thought was really strange. He said he was praising Coach Elliott for the football ascending under Coach Elliott. Like, I'm like, really? Okay.
I mean,
we had that at that point. All he knew about was a bowl game and then 2-10 seasons.
Yeah,
so,
we had a blip.
Yeah, a blip. I don't know. He sounded like a good mentor for these guys. I don't know. His cousin is, and I didn't look this up. I'm taking it from the interviewer's question verbatim, or for whatever he said. But his cousin Bob is a Hall of Famer from St. Bonaventure.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So you knew about that?
I had heard about that.
Yeah. So they were asking if we could get St. Bonaventure on the schedule, and he didn't make any promises about that at all.
So that's the thing, is he's a lot more low key than Ron Hunter ever was. I mean, but
who's not?
But like, what is that bar, right?
Right. Yeah. It's a big difference there. But I didn't prepare for this part of it. But he has gotten some big guys coming in here, which was not the Ron Hunter style. I just actually, before we came down here to start recording this, I read that another what do they call him, a slow forward or something like that, 6'8" guy commit for the 2020 program.
And they're prioritizing rebounds. What?
Yeah, we don't do that at Georgia State.
Or offensive rebounds, I guess. Right? It was all rebounds, wasn't it? Under Ron Hunter, where he was just sort of like, don't really care.
Rebounds are overrated. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to basketball season. I really am. We'll see how it goes. Speaking of that, there was the GSU Jam last night, which is really something that I think is meant for students. That's not really an alumni fan.
I didn't know it was happening until I saw it on Twitter.
I didn't know about
it
until I think day of, maybe over the weekend. I'm not sure.
It is weird that it wasn't marketed. You're a season ticket holder,
right?
So why wasn't it?
I don't read all my emails.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it may have been, but there were some tweets that came out from it, and there was lines to get into the sports arena. Yeah. So good.
I saw Dave Cohen took a picture with Ryan Harrow. He was there.
Oh, was he there? I didn't even see that.
Yeah. So we had some older.
Yeah, and there was some pretty good like dunk competitions, jumping over each other.
I think JoJo. Oh, what's his last name? Toppins.
Sounds good.
Tippins.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, one of our better players dunked over 2 players instead of just one.
So they had their heads lowered. Like
we do. No,
they had their heads lowered. They were looking down.
2 of them.
Yeah, but the other one was like the shorter one in front of the taller one.
He jumped over. You just told me the players are taller.
Yeah,
you just told me they're taller.
That's why their heads were laying
on
down.
average. You had to do that. You had to do that. Otherwise, it's just totally unfair.
Yeah. Speaking of basketball, in Atlanta, Tech got hit with a postseason ban.
Oh boy! And our guy is kind of getting crap for it.
That's actually why I wanted to bring it up, is because of Daryl and
LeBerry.
LeBerry. Yeah, I can't.
D-Lab.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I read I did a little research about it today. Not a lot, but a little, to try to figure out what's going on. And it sounds like probably something that happens all the freaking time, and just got.
Well, and what I ended up reading about it was that like all these terrible things that came down on Georgia Tech were one of these other assistant coaches' fault, and then like, oh, and then Coach LeBerry was involved with something else that's unnamed in this thing.
He gave some money to a recruit and a player to tip or to pay for whatever services at the Alluvia restaurant in Atlanta.
Yeah, which was for a long time the only 5-star restaurant in Atlanta.
Was it really?
Yeah, it's also contained within the Cheetah.
Exactly.
In case anyone doesn't know that.
Yeah, Louvia Restaurant is what shows up in your credit card statement if you buy something at the Cheetah. Don't ask me how I know that.
They also have a very nice restaurant.
I've never been to the restaurant.
I mean, so I hear. And, look, that place is a little too high, like upper scale for me. I'm not.
It's not that great, but we went. I think it was after we'd gone to like a tech game or something like that. I forget. Maybe it was a.
Well, if you have a ticket stub to anything, you get it for free.
Yeah. We you can even go with a Georgia State ticket stub, but we went there. I think it was after a Georgia Tech. I've not been to a lot of Georgia Tech games, so that doesn't ring a bell to me. But I'd gone to some event, and maybe it was a Braves game or something like that, and we decided to go, but we'd been tailgating, and so we're walking around Midtown Atlanta with a cooler. We checked our cooler at the Cheetah. Like, can we just leave this here? Like, you can't bring this in, guys. Like, can we check it? Like, oh yeah, just put it behind the counter. It'll be fine. We're good. So we checked our cooler, and then so we went in there and
look, David. Sometimes you're my hero. Sometimes it's limited.
It's not very often.
It's limited, but
yeah, I'm. Means a lot to me. It's literally the first time I've ever heard that.
And then you bought like a $15 whiskey at the bar, right?
Was it a shorty?
Yeah, right.
It's way too expensive. Way too expensive. But I haven't been there because my wife is listening. Just to qualify her, I have not been to the Cheetah, to my recollection, in over 10 years. I think. Maybe you're wrong about that. I'm not sure. Anyhow. So Tech got hit with this postseason ban, just assuring us of being the best basketball team in Georgia once again. So
I don't know anything about Georgia, and then Mercer usually kind of puts up a little bit of a challenge for that.
I don't know all about basketball. I just like to say that we're the best team in Georgia.
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah, exactly. So mark that one on your calendars.
Best team in Georgia.
NCAA tournament.
You can put it on any date you want. Best team in Georgia. I mean, put it in March.
Yeah. So, are we gonna get you out to games this year? Are you gonna come to games?
I'll come to one or two probably.
So we have 2 games. We record this on Tuesday nights, and there are 2 games this season. Like one in the early, and then like I think the last game of the season are on Tuesdays. So I think we should go pregame the basketball game, go to the basketball, and then record the podcast immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to make it any better or any worse, but I think it'll be fun.
It depends on the game, I'm sure.
Should we record the podcast on the top of G Deck immediately afterwards?
I don't think anyone would like the sound quality of that.
It's going to be very cold up there in February as well. Yeah. But yeah. So hopefully D-Lab got a 3-year ban from coaching in the NCAA. So hopefully he does good for himself for the next few years.
You know, and a lot of the insiders on our board are implying that he was just sort of like thrown under the bus there, that he didn't actually do the wrong thing.
He was the Oliver North.
He was kind of the scapegoat.
Of this Iran-Contra scandal.
Yeah.
You know what that
so
is?
That's a shame. The Iran-Contra scandal? Yeah, I know
Oliver North.
Yes,
You're younger than me. I don't know what you remember.
Yeah, I know stuff.
Okay.
I'm into politics,
you know
though.
things.
I know things.
Yeah, it sounds very unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can bounce back. He seems like a decent dude that just, stuff happens. But anyhow. All right. The other big topic, are we good with that? Are we good?
Yeah, I'm good.
The other big topic I want to talk about today, maybe the first time we've talked about a big topic that was not directly related to Georgia State, but I think it has a lot of implications for Georgia State, is this new Fair Play to Pay Act that got signed into law in California this week or over the weekend, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So this is, and I'm pretty sure if anybody's paying attention to a sports podcast, they know exactly what this is. This is the state of California saying that students have a right to make money off of their name and likeness and endorsements.
Image or likeness.
Name, image, or likeness, and including endorsements, including coaching while in school.
Superseded by any school contracts, though.
Super, is that part of the whole thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, it's funny you say it, because I did not know that part.
So what that means...
The whole thing is, so going into this, you can't make money as a college athlete per NCAA rule.
Right.
And as a student, you know that going into becoming a student athlete. Right. So you're effectively, by signing that letter of intent, you are signing away your rights to your own name, image, and likeness and
Correct.
whatnot. which this law is basically saying it null and voids that whole deal. So there's a lot to this.
Yeah.
It's been said everywhere else, and I'll say it again, much like the bye-week jokes. This is going to change the face of college athletics completely. 10, 15, 20 years from now, it's going to look like a whole different beast. And who knows where schools like Georgia State are going to come out on the back end of it. And we'll get into that. Anyhow, so the governor signed the bill into law on the LeBron James show. Did you see that?
I didn't see that, no.
So here's what I took from this. LeBron James has a TV show.
I love that that's what you took from it.
I had no idea. I mean, he's in LA playing for the Lakers. Of course, he has a TV show.
Yeah. So he also was the one of the players that was present was involved in the lawsuit with the NCAA over using his likeness in the video game.
Well, no, because LeBron James never played one single...
No, it wasn't just LeBron James. There was I forget the name of the player, but it was the guy who sued the NCAA saying that you can't use my likeness for this,
which is what got rid of the NCAA college games and whatnot.
Right.
So yay, this law could bring back NCAA football, NCAA basketball.
Which I don't play the NFL. I don't play Madden.
Right. So and so one of the little tick marks and successes of Georgia State football was we got into FBS for that last game.
That's right.
I think the last publication of the game was our first year in FBS.
We were also probably the worst team. So when I did the dynasty mode, and I just picked that team and I would recruit, and I was like, I felt so good when I could bring us from the worst in just a few years to being national champions.
And did you?
Yeah, all the time. Of course.
Yeah,
but I got to do scheduling and stuff.
So basically, we should have hired you as athletic director and coach of the team, and we could have been...
As long as it was exactly like NCAA, and I could tell, like, Alabama to play me, and I could put it on easy mode if it was too hard.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, if you could do that, we could all
what
be
do you want from me?
national
If we could
champions.
gamify recruiting and not, like, put in all these silly things like people's opinions, like students' opinions on where they want to go to school.
How dare we have opinions? So the presidents, and for the majority, presidents and athletic directors oppose this legislation.
Well, the Pac-12 is like the major conference that has a lot of power there, and
they're all the West Coast schools, yeah.
And so they're telling them, no, you can't do this, right?
Well, they were encouraging. Like they say, don't sign this, don't do this, because it's the schools did not want this to happen, and there's a lot of reasons why.
Well, they might get kicked out of the NCAA.
So that's the easy answer, right? So all of a sudden now California schools just are not allowed to compete, or if they do compete, their games are null and void, forfeited, whatever they call it. But that's not going to happen.
I agree.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then the California schools just disband the Pac-12 and start their own college athletics, and the NCAA has.
And they get all the best players
oversight.
because players are getting paid.
And you got players that I'm gonna especially the players or kids in the west side of the country are gonna be like, I'm gonna go to California
best
to play,
players would go
so I
there,
can get.
So
I can get
NCAA
paid.
is not gonna let that happen.
But so it's not the schools paying the players. That's a big point.
That's true.
It's a big point, but it's also very, very moot in my opinion, because the schools can't pay the players per this particular legislation. It's just the endorsements. It's just the money from the names, image, and likenesses. It's just the coaching.
Your local car dealership could say, I want the tight end from UCLA to come and be in a commercial.
Right, and I'm going to pay you $1 million. And
I'll pay you $1 million.
So the kid's been paid.
Right.
But see, that brings up an interesting point, and I want to get down to a little pros and cons things later on. But wow, I forgot my point actually. So we'll get back to it eventually.
Good. Glad we had all that beer before this.
Exactly. All right. So Minnesota and Florida.
So before we jumped into this conversation, you figured you knew my point of view on this.
All right, so
let's. I'm curious what you think my.
So
point of view
as you
is.
sit across me right now, wearing your Ryan Graham for Public Commission
wearing
libertarian
my
shirt.
That's true.
My assumption of your position is any person so long as it does not infringe on the rights of someone else,
Yeah.
should be able to make money any way that they can.
Yeah, no, and I think it's very telling that it is coming down to what they're calling name, image, and
Likeness.
likeness.
I see who's forgetting things now.
Yeah, so like it's very telling that like that's what it's coming down to, because it means that they currently do not have a right to their own name. They do not have a right to their own likeness or image, and that's silly.
But they do. They sign it away when they
But
decide to
that's
play
silly.
sports for the university.
But they also have to. The NFL can't actually sign people except for from the NCAA.
I don't think that's true. I think if you're so many years out of high school,
So you could just skip it all and like work for 4 years instead. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, that's silly.
yeah, you get a job.
No, like you.
I
could
want to
just-
play football for a
No,
living.
no, but like, how often does that happen? How many
No,
players
there-
can you
there-
name
there-
that didn't go through the NCAA?
There is a very big issue with the way that, I mean, there is a monopoly on college athletics. And you go through the NCAA, or
Right.
you don't go through it.
Yep.
You don't do it whatsoever at all. So yeah, you could, I don't know, go play overseas or Canadian Football League or something like that if you wanted to, straight from high school. But you got to do 1 or 2 years outside
Yeah.
of high school and whatnot. No, I get it. There's and that is a separate argument, I believe. And this is where I thought about it. So I don't know my position on this. On one hand, I agree with you completely. Absolutely, let the kids make their money, especially the kids that are not in the revenue sports. Let the kid that plays tennis or golf
Go work
or
for that
swimming or
car
go,
dealership
to be able to
yeah.
go and do a commercial, or even be able to have a kids camp, training camp, where you can teach kids how to play whatever sport you're
Yeah.
doing or whatnot. I think there's an opportunity there for those sports that. Obviously, when anybody looks at this, they are only looking at football and basketball. They're not thinking about anything else. But I think they have that right. They should be able to do that. But there's going to be consequences. There's consequences to every change and action. So I don't know whether or not those
seen and
consequences
the
are going to be
unseen.
better for us. And so many people talk about this from the Power 5 and like the elite Power 5 level. They talk about this from the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Notre Dames and the USCs. They talk about it from that level. Oh, this is only going to affect like, the quarterback or the running back or the wide receiver for these, dozen schools. But that's going to change the whole thing. When you can actually make money riding the bench at one school versus playing football or playing sport at another
You probably
bench.
can't though. Nobody really wants the guy riding the bench to be the spokesperson for their whatever sport.
Yeah, but as a school, you're going to want to stack your cards so that you have the best opportunity to win in case the big guy goes down. And all it takes is some third string quarterback to say he's releasing a shirt with his face on it, and some booster saying, "I'll buy 10,000 of your shirts."
Yeah.
And to do what they want. So I think we got way farther into this than I wanted to go at this point. But like,
That's fine.
but it's good conversation. I feel like it's good conversation.
It is.
We'll see you later
Yeah.
on.
We'll see how many people listen to this, right? We've got the metrics.
So the universities aren't paying the players, but there's loopholes around that, like these boosters and whatnot.
Sure.
The players can hire agents, which actually I think that any player that doesn't hire agent is well, probably shouldn't have been making it into college in the first place.
I mean, if it's allowed, do it, right? I mean,
right,
you hire
right.
that guy. It's literally your job to play football and his job to make you some money
Yeah.
at that point.
So you obviously read about this. I had a couple questions about it that reading through different articles, message boards, and I didn't get a clear answer for. So some people are saying that the way the bill was written for California was that you can't pay prospective student athletes,
yeah,
recruits,
right.
but it says nothing about enrolled students.
Yeah.
So maybe they could pay enrolled players, but I couldn't find anything specific about that when I looked at the.
I think that's what I read. I
Okay,
don't know.
and then also this is one thing that I saw that was I saw a lot of people saying this in the comment section, but I never saw it written anywhere else. That national beverage and shoe companies were excluded from the endorsement deals.
I didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah. But that's one thing that you think about. If we're going to do this from a state by state perspective, there could be all kinds of different laws on the way states do it.
The article I read was saying that, like, for instance, and this is what I was talking about, where it's superseded by the team rule. So, like, Georgia State is an Under Armour school. But if Dan Ellington had Nike come to him and say, well, I want you to wear Nike around campus,
Right.
Right, but not on the field. You can't wear Nike on the field because Nike on the field is superseded by Under Armour on the field.
But what you read was that
If he wants to wear Nike around campus,
any university rules.
Yeah. So the university rule says Under Armour on the field, right? All of our on the field. So Dan Ellington's wearing Under Armour on the field no matter what. He can't make a contract with Nike that says he's going to wear Nike on the field because the school supersedes it.
Right.
And so if he's wearing Nike off campus, and that's what the deal is that he's just like loaded up with Nike gear off field, then that's what the deal is, and that's what's allowed.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. This reminds me of, I don't know why this reminds me. Well, I know why, but I don't know where this memory came from back in my head. Talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. Talking to his dad when he got into racing, and Budweiser became Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s sponsor or whatever. And he said, my dad told me, he's like, I hope you like Budweiser. It's the only beer you drink from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went through and I made what I think are some pros and cons for this. I thought maybe we could talk about a couple of those and maybe you have some of your own. The first pro that I had listed was return of the NCAA football game.
Yeah.
I remember you...
Only California teams.
Only California teams. But no, I'm talking about this goes full gambit.
So what's important to note, too, is there's 4 years for this law to go into effect.
2023 is when it would go into effect.
And so the NCAA has a lot of leeway to change things, and California has a lot of leeway to change things based on... So, like, it's still a very flexible situation.
Yeah, I think part of the way the California law was written was... As the NCAA changes, the California state law could change to do some stuff.
So
I want to get into some of the ideas that people have had about ways to make this work better and everything. But
anyway, go ahead with your pros and cons. I'm sorry.
I remember when the NCAA game came out with Georgia State in it. You and Amit and Derek, and was there anybody else that came over to my house and we played the game.
It was during something else though, right? There was like a party?
No. This was just my old roommate at the time was there, and she showed up at the time, and I remember her just laughing at us because we were being dorks. We're like beating Alabama at the time, and we're acting like it's a real game.
Yes.
Yeah, I miss that. Sometimes I want to do that again. Yeah, exactly. Hey, if we can't beat him in real life, we'll beat him in a video game. He will be just as excited. So yes, the return of the video game, that's a big pro. It's a big pro. And by the way, I got this broken out as in pros and cons overall, and then good or bad for G5s. So we'll get to how it applies to the G5 schools after this. Like I said earlier, athletes of the non-revenue sports could benefit. I think it's a good chance for them because right now they're held to the same rules that the football players and basketball players are, and they're not able to make any money off of their name and likeness or really almost anything. It's hard to even get a job as an athlete because the NCAA gets so into the whole situation.
Yeah, they get all bent out of shape.
So it makes it easier for them, which is a good thing for all those athletes. These are kids that are going at it the way that this whole thing was supposed to be in the first place was, I'm talented, I'm skilled, I've worked very hard at a sport, I can go represent a university, get a free education, and go on. And
to be clear, football and basketball players are also doing that. They work very hard to be very good.
Absolutely. But the revenue opportunity for the football and basketball players is at a exponentially higher level than it is for a women's cross country
consuming that media.
Exactly. Yeah. So it provides an opportunity for those kids to be able to do something extra, which is great.
Yeah.
And then also it provides a shot for the non pro potential players to be able to make a little bit extra coin on the side as well. So I'm really, really good at being a safety for Georgia State, but I probably don't have a chance in the NFL or something like that. Yep. Yes, that kid can possibly make a little bit, not much, but maybe make a little bit something here and there. Yep. And I say Georgia State, even some of the bigger programs, not every Alabama player goes to the NFL. Not every single Duke player goes to the NBA. Don't. Most don't.
Yeah.
So, but they're still a name. They're known. Yep. They're recognized. That gives them a chance. That's a good thing.
I think Bama typically will send between 5 and 10 players. In a draft.
They're all first rounders.
Yeah, but then the rest of them, they don't.
And then I think for some kids, I think, you have players where they think that their time is hot. They're not sure if they should go or they should not go. Maybe they stick around and they play next year because they're already making some money.
Yeah.
And they don't feel like the need to go into the pros to get the big paycheck as soon as they need to.
Well, you mentioned...
which basketball would be great because basketball is so full of the one and dones that maybe some kids are like, all right, well, I could go play for a crappy NBA team making almost the same money I'm making right now.
Yeah.
Or more than, just a little bit more than what I'm making right now.
I mean, you mentioned LeBron. And LeBron is actually an example that the article I read where they were saying he skipped college because he knew he could go to the NBA and make a ton of money. And the rules are a little different in NBA and in baseball, which is another sport where people skip and make a ton of money.
How many kids are actually already committed to different baseball teams? They've been drafted, but they decide to go to baseball anyway, or play college baseball anyways.
But a lot of them don't go to college because they make a ton of money in them.
Right, they go and they spend like 4 or 5 years toiling around the minor league circuit until they get their call up.
But they might not do that if they can make a little bit of
exactly.
Dough.
You go in there and you get education, you get a little bit of a coin in your pocket, and you So I think these are some of the good things about doing this. Not to mention the fact that it's your face. It's your name. You should be able to do what you want to do. Yeah.
I remember, so it might not fit completely where we are now, but AJ Green, when he was at Georgia, he got in trouble because he signed a jersey and sold it for like $300 or something.
Right.
And he had like 8-game suspension for doing that. And it was just, Georgia fans were appalled. Of course they were, right? Because it's AJ Green. But
the incredibly intelligent Georgia fans were appalled at something?
He signed his name and sold it. And that was an infraction.
Well, then there was there's that one loophole in the money making possibilities for players where your bowl game stuff, your packet with whatever you get for your prizes or whatever, like they have a bag. You like
and the better bowl games, you get better things.
Better bowl games, you get better stuff. And there was players that were selling their rings, and there was Georgia players that were selling their rings and getting hit on sanctions or whatever for
ridiculous.
The whole thing. So the cons I came up with, and I'm sure there's a lot of them, but I think this is one of the reasons why presidents and ADs are not a big fan of this, is now you get boosters that are paying tens of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to the athletic department every single year through donations. Now they can pay it straight to the kid. They can give whoever they want the money and get them to come play for their alma mater or whatnot, and that school's going to lose out on those donations.
They might lose out on the donations, but they're still getting the player.
Still getting the player,
right? So
but they're not paying that player $100,000 a year. Yeah.
So this has been the biggest thing that bothers me is that the major argument against it has been a escape from amateurism to professionalism. And like, if you look at the industry as a whole, the only people who aren't professionals are the kids.
Right.
And so it's like this whole industry, like, to call it amateur is kind of silly.
Oh yeah, exactly. They're getting this the same media contracts or the same thing that the NFL,
right. So they're
NBA
just doing
has.
it. They're just taking all of that value that the kids are generating and they're using it for their own professional gain. And so it's like you're taking some of that amateur whatever and you're getting rid of it. That's fine, but you're like keeping it with the kids. You're keeping that professional with the kids,
right?
Which is, even better.
Yeah,
I'm all for this.
I knew you were going to be. We'll get down to how it can affect us a little bit.
That's okay.
But so another con on this is, and I think that this is going to be a new big thing. If this all comes to light, which it will, the new big thing is going to be these highly, highly touted kids coming out of high school, getting this big endorsement deals and big money, and they're too young, they're too immature. They maybe did not come from they did not have the opportunities that other kids did to have a level head on them coming in, and they get this money and they just act out. They Johnny Manziel and whatnot.
Yeah, good example.
And they just nosedive big time. And it becomes a big bust. And I'm not saying that kid would have been any better without the money, but it's going to be a whole new headline we're going to have now. We're going to see all these kids that are going to be the big busts in college sports.
Yeah.
So that's not a good thing for the sport overall.
So it'll be like, okay, we had this big recruit, 5-star, best in the nation, and like maybe they don't live up to it. That's the problem?
Well, yeah, and maybe make it an embarrassment. Like I said, Johnny Manziel, maybe they're an embarrassment for the program. Maybe
he was only an embarrassment once he hit the NFL. He was
when he got his money,
all-star.
When he got his money.
I don't understand. Like, do you think that if he had money, he wouldn't have been good at Texas A&M?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, would he have been out partying? Would he have been out spending more time?
I think he was.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was.
I think he was.
But maybe because of the rules, and I'm not saying to keep the rules for this, but maybe the rules of you can't let everyone know that we're putting strippers in your dorm room every single night. Maybe that kind of kept him from being too outlandish and too crazy or what.
No, we'll work this out.
Exactly. So, Johnny Manziel, he was a disaster of a human being, still is. Good luck in the XFL. All right, so here's a negative or con that I think I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it up or not because it does have it's a little divisive.
You have to be careful too because I get impassioned.
Will there be an issue when the female athletes are not getting as high of endorsement deals as the male athletes?
Oh boy, yeah,
right.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we're already facing a big issue in the national league, national team for soccer.
And so, does Title IX actually address that already?
Yeah,
I don't actually know Title IX in and out to know if it would, but like that's where like
from what I understand, Title IX was a very, very, very not sticky Band-Aid over an issue that basically said, you know what, at least make it look like you're trying to include the women in the sports. Yeah. So.
And it's caused a lot of problems where there might not be, but I get the motive and like I understand and it makes sense where they would create that, but there's intended and unintended consequences, and the unintended consequences have not been great for college programs overall, I think.
I would like to see more women's sports.
Of course.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And specifically, like there was talk of us adding women's lacrosse to Georgia State. And
do we have men's lacrosse?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I've watched, you bored, you start going to the sports channels and see what's on, and I'll see lacrosse on every once in a while. And it's a fun sport to watch. I could totally get into a women's game of lacrosse. I'll get into a men's game of lacrosse, but we're not going to be adding any more men's sports.
I like women's soccer better than men's soccer.
For sure, absolutely. And I know there'll be a lot of people that will say that you're wrong because the quality of the game is not as good. I just enjoy it better. I just thoroughly enjoy it better, and it has nothing to do, and also everything to do with Alex Morgan being on the the U.S. national team.
So it has everything to do. I don't even know who Alex Morgan is, and I know that's probably black.
You don't know who Alex Morgan is? Get the hell out of my house!
I'm a bad American. But the what I like about women's soccer better is that they men seem to play a chaotic version of the game where they just kick the ball to the other side of the field as far away from their goal as possible. It doesn't matter who they kick it to, they just kick it as far away as possible. Whereas women kick it to their players. They seem to be more caring about like where they're actually getting it to and more accurate and more and to me that's a better game of soccer. I
do not know anywhere near enough about soccer to contradict that whatsoever at all, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of people. Well, not a lot, because we
are going to be upset about you just saying it's hot.
If there were to be a lot of people that were to hear you say that, they would say that you're absolutely wrong. The men have a strategy with all that kind of stuff as well.
It doesn't feel like it, and as a fan, I don't care if you actually have a strategy or not. If it doesn't feel like it, then like
I feel like women are trying harder because of the disparity,
maybe.
And so and obviously. I think from a non-soccer fan's perspective of soccer is you're so sick and tired of the flops and dropping down for these injuries.
It's ridiculous.
And
women don't do that.
Women don't do it nearly to the scale that the men do it because they have to prove themselves.
They like pop back up. They're bleeding out of whatever. And
I agree. I like women's soccer better. Yeah. But I think that is going to be an issue if in this day and age, once your star quarterback's making a cool mill playing for, Michigan or Ohio State or something. I'm trying to get away from going to Alabama every single time we refer to a blue chip school. That you have a women's cross country player who is not.
So interesting. Like conversation spark, and I'm going to go ahead and give myself the interesting compliment. Dan Ellington.
You're not going to get it from me.
Dan Ellington is playing for Georgia State. Like you give the cool mill to the Michigan player or the Alabama player, but like, what do you think Dan Ellington, as the face of the program today? Like, I mean, he's the most prominent program, prominent player in the program today. What do you think he could pull from an endorsement deal?
Yeah, and I wanted to get into Georgia State specifically and the G5s in a little bit, but yeah, no, I think that it depends on your media market. I think there's certain opportunities in the smaller markets. There's other opportunities in the larger markets. Not saying either one is better, but yeah, I mean, he could be, getting in on some 6 feet under ads.
He could be making a couple grand. He could be making what I make. He could be making 6 figures.
He could be making something like that. Yeah. Everyone, Ryan makes 6 figures. You heard it here first.
Only barely.
He counts the numbers after the decimal point too. Just FYI. So I don't know. I don't know what we could expect. I think there'd be a lot of other opportunities, and we'll get there in a minute. I do want to get to that.
I don't get the show notes, guys. I just make this up.
Well, because I was still working on it when he showed up. So there was an article posted by, I wrote this guy's name down, Michael Rosenberg for Sports Illustrated, where he talks about how this is going to change the face of football, but he puts in another qualifier. He puts in that we get rid of the 1 year wait rule. So if you transfer, you can play immediately.
All for that.
Right. So his argument is if you do this endorsement name and likeness deal and you have immediate eligibility if you transfer, you effectively have now got free agent football, or I say football. You have free agent athletes at the conclusion of every single season that can go wherever they want to go. Mm-hmm. So you could have somebody that, a Dan Ellington that comes in and has a phenomenal season with us and a bigger program says, all right, cool, come here. And our boosters, our car dealerships will buy all your t-shirts or something like that.
You're making $500,000 at Georgia State. You make $1 million here.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that changes a big dynamic about it. And we have no reason to believe right now they're going to change that eligibility type thing. But he brings up a good point. That would really, really hurt the G5 programs whenever a guy gets a little good. I mean, how hard is it for a 19 or 20-year-old kid to turn down that kind of money?
Honest to God, my answer is I don't care, right? I mean, because what really matters is that these people are allowed to do what is best for themselves and their loved ones.
Well, I'm glad you're a better person than everybody else that follows sports.
I mean, I hate to say it. If it sucks for Georgia State, it sucks for Georgia State. But the strategy just needs to change for Georgia State. So we need to find, honest to God, we just need to find the boosters who are willing to do the thing that we need them to do.
Yeah.
Just like Alabama is going to find them, and we might get fewer of them, but we're going to get some. We're going to get some blue chip players.
I still think there's an opportunity for the G5 programs and the smaller programs. But I do feel like that you're going to get the super elite will really end up being their own thing, and you're only going to see those half dozen programs that are always be the cream of the crop. Which we're not far away from.
I was
that
about to say,
now.
was it Alabama, Georgia, and Clemson?
Oh, you include Georgia in there. They won a national championship since 1984.
I mean, yeah, but they've got the curse. They've got the curse.
Oh yeah, they're too close to Atlanta. Clemson's just far enough away from Atlanta.
Yeah, they always make it.
What's closer, Clemson or Tuscaloosa?
Oh.
It's probably Clemson, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably close.
They always make it very close, right. They always have their 10-2 season or whatever.
It's the Atlanta curse.
And they get in there and then they lose. They lose these ridiculous games. And so, it's the Atlanta curse.
All right, so
there's nothing we can do about that. That just exists, man. That's just the status.
So good or bad for G5s, and do you care?
No, don't care. Don't care.
Yeah,
don't care because it's what's good for the players. And these kids, they deserve the rights to their name, image, and likeness because
they have that. They have that.
Well, no, they don't have that today.
They do
sign it away
as long as they don't play football.
Yeah, but you're ignoring a ton of other considerations, and like they can't not sign it away and do the same thing that they love to do.
So my bad for G5s is the powerhouses are going to have way more lucrative endorsement deals, even for the non-starter players.
I don't necessarily believe that's
in
true
deep pockets
either.
That could stack the cards in their favor.
But like, if you're riding the bench on Bama, right? We'll just get back to that because it's fine. It's easy. If you're riding the bench of Bama, like, why is a booster going to pay you $1 million?
Well, they're going to pay you $1 million,
But they might pay you.
And I think it's naive to talk about. Not that came across insulting. That may be insulting. I think it's naive to say that we're talking about $1 million for all these players. We're talking about a lot of these kids are coming from, they got nothing. So if you're offering them $50,000 a year, that's a lot of money to
boosters
them.
That can...
We don't have boosters who don't
$50,000.
pay a player $50,000 a year.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what that market looks like today, but we're in Metro Atlanta area.
Yeah, yep, yes, and that is a big thing that I want to talk about as well. But back to the negatives. I'm going to finish with the positives.
Womp womp.
I'm going to finish with the positives, and I have more positives.
I'm all for this, guys.
I have more positives than I have negatives, so...
all right. It's like dating in high school. You like, I want to break up with this girl, but what are her positives and what are her negatives?
Ryan, no one believes you dated in high school. All right. All right, so got along the same lines. It could be possible for a player to make more money on the bench at a blue chip than they could be at the bottom barrel program in the G5s.
It's a made-up problem.
Okay. I guess actually, really, I think maybe I only have like only one bad because they seem to all kind of roll together. The P5s could just stockpile the talent, but they're already kind of doing that already.
They do it worse, I think, than what might be available if we could incentivize them to come spread out.
Yeah. All right. So the good.
All right.
For G5s, I think. If you're a starter, your name's mentioned a lot more. There's a lot more attention on you. How many people in Tuscaloosa know who Dane Ellington is?
That's true.
So, and there's that possibility that just that would be enough to get you a lot more recognition. And let's be honest, these are athletes. They've got egos. They want those egos stroked. They want to feel like they're important. They want to be invited to this event or that event to be the signature person there.
And the starting player in any given position is going to command a higher dollar amount regardless of the program.
Exactly.
Than somebody riding the bench.
Exactly.
I mean, they should. You would think.
I absolutely. It's yeah, sure. I mean, that's just a given. It's a given. I put this one. I don't know why I put this in G5s, but this actually goes around all the way. But I think that you could have. There's some personalities on these football teams or these basketball teams. All these teams.
Wait, what?
I keep on going back to football because we're in football season right now. But there
really
are a lot of personalities, a lot of fun, exciting personalities. And if these guys gals start doing YouTube accounts or these for monetize, I don't know how you do all this, the Snapchats and all that kind of stuff, Instagrams, whatever. There could be some
the YouTubes.
I'm showing my age now. There could be some fun media accounts to follow, some social media accounts to follow. I think that's a big positive across all of it. Being able to follow these players that are making money off of doing their YouTube whatevers. Because I think there was a kid in Florida, like a USF or a UCF kid or whatever. I think he was a kicker, and he had a YouTube channel. And he had a lot of followers, and the NCAA was like, nope, you can't have that. And he's like, I demonetized it. I can't make any money off of that. And they're like, nope, you're still publicizing yourself. You can't have it. You can't do it. And so, but he had
they're the worst.
And I don't know what his content was. I don't think it was sports. It could have been sports. I have no idea. But I think there's how many student athletes we have out there, and how many have great personalities that could really turn into some really, really cool media to have. I mean, that could be an entire ESPN segment on its own.
Absolutely.
Just following social media kids. And I think that is a huge gain that's just fun.
I mean, even
makes the sport more fun.
Even at Georgia State, you see like Remy Lazarus, who does his own show. He does his little like social media show, and he does interviews with his fellow players, and he's got a lot of personality that comes out and all that.
Right.
And like he's got a mind for it.
Right.
And like, you know, we're gonna repress that because
we can't let anybody
because professionalism versus amateurism. Like, I don't care. Remy Lazarus has got a great personality. I want to see more of what he's got.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very, very big positive. You also, for these smaller programs such as ourselves, if you're seeing a Georgia State student or student athlete in a commercial or at an event or doing a coaching class or something like that, that's just free advertising for your entire product.
Yeah.
That's getting more people paying attention to this, and especially if they are these more charismatic kids, that's a win for everybody.
I would think so.
You know, especially if they get on to be on TV for, you know, the Wolfman mattress, whatever it is.
Now you're really showing
do they still do it?
Wolfman and Donna?
Donna, yeah. She had some bad dresses. Yeah.
Some bangs, that's for sure.
Yeah. I said I had more, but my next point was the same thing. The great character of a kid on commercials or media, whatnot. I think there's that could be really, really good for a small program to really get some.
I think so. I think we have a lot to offer a student that wants to come in and monetize their brand because they're, you know, a good athlete.
So this is a point that you brought up earlier on that I wanted to get back to was, yes, whether or not this is good or bad for Georgia State. We're in the middle of Atlanta. We're a major media market. Granted, there's not a lot of people paying attention to Georgia State, but there are a lot of people that are, you know, eyes on things in Atlanta, and Atlanta could be a more attractive place than being in a Tuscaloosa or an Oxford, or I'm trying to think of other small towns that have colleges that are really, really big. Lansing, Michigan. Yeah. Athens. Yeah.
I guess as far as Georgia goes, Athens isn't.
Yeah, I was trying to keep away from Georgia as well. But yeah. So I think that could be a good thing for Georgia State specifically, is that, hey, let's capitalize on being the ATL and all that. So
doesn't have to be about us though. It's the kids.
The podcast is about us.
That's true. It's all about the kids. What about the kids?
The kids are doing
right.
All right.
That wins arguments.
Yeah, it does.
I think that wins all the arguments. What about the kids?
So, from what you've seen so far, what we've seen in the California legislation and what people have talked about, what kind? And I assume your idea on this is. My question is, what would you do to make this better, or to tighten it to make it a little bit more straightforward? And I'm assuming your answer is going to be like, nope, let it all fly. Let everyone do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, so let it all fly. That is exactly right. So I think what it all comes down to, because this is what people who are supporting the current status quo have made it come down to, is amateurism versus professionalism. And what does that mean? Right? It's like, why do I actually care? They're like, but amateurs are now going to be professionals. Okay, but like, why does that make a difference? What does that actually mean? And people don't have generally good answers for that.
It's just, I want to see
that's just
amateur. I like the nuance of the whole thing. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
I mean, and so like it comes down to that.
They're playing. They're playing a professional sport in a professional environment.
And it's professional for everybody except for those students,
right?
You know, and why are they being excluded from this?
So you've got no ideas to make it any better. You just want to make it open, free for all.
Oh, I have ideas to make it better.
What are your ideas to make it better?
It's make it a free for all. That's all of the things you said are why.
So some of the things that people have said is that they can make the money, but it goes into a trust.
Nope.
And they can't access it until their eligibility's up.
Nah. Why are you going to tell them how they can spend their money? Who cares? They're 18 years old. They're adults.
They're adults.
They can fight and die for our country, but they can't make money off sports.
Or buy alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's not make this a political podcast. I mean,
but then I saw also what was I going to say? Exhausting their eligibility. Yeah, I don't know.
You lost it again?
I lost it again.
God.
I'm so horrible about this.
This is what you get when we pregame, guys.
Oh no, I remember. So I knew I was gonna get it. It was so close. I knew I was gonna get it. So this one, and I know you're gonna hate this one. I know you're gonna hate it.
Oh,
is that it goes into a trust, but it's one trust across all NCAA member universities for all student athletes, and they all get a like share out of it.
I don't even. If anyone who's listening to this knows me, you understand why I don't like this, and I don't need to explain it. This is
it's a bad idea.
Terrible idea. Who said this? This is just
I was reading comments on like all the posts.
Reddit guy, probably Reddit, because Reddit is garbage, by the way. So.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So another one I read that not a horrible idea. Well, actually, it is a horrible idea. If you opt in, have an opt-in, opt-out thing. You opt into endorsements and likeness, all that kind of stuff, but you forego your scholarship.
Yeah.
See, I feel like this hurts the kids that are in the non-revenue sports, because your men's golf player may be able to make like $2,000 a year. Am I boring you?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Maybe able to make $1,000 a year, which is not going to pay for his scholarship. But a guy playing second string wide receiver may make enough to do the whole thing. So, yeah.
I need to hear more about that plan.
Yeah. Well, so I think there's a better one that I like. I don't know. And I don't know if it even matters, honestly. If we're doing this, we're doing it. I don't think it matters. But if you leave before graduating, you have to pay back your scholarship.
No. You probably. I mean, that's like
the whole
such
idea.
A drop in the bucket compared.
The whole idea, though, is we've been saying for years that your payment is your education, but these kids are leaving; they're not graduating. Not a lot of them, especially in the revenue sports. They're not graduating. They're leaving as soon as they get a chance to go to the pros.
Most of them aren't. Most of them are graduating.
Yeah. That's the only one that I actually
even a lot of people who don't like who like go into the draft early are. A bunch of those guys are actually graduating and then foregoing their masters.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So, yeah, so we'll see a lot more about this in the coming days and weeks and months.
I'm excited.
You're excited about it?
I'm excited to see the whole thing get turned on its head, because these kids, you know what, I say that. It's not fair, because these adults, right? These people,
we can call them kids. They're way younger than us.
But they're 18, right? Like they're adults per legal whatever. Like we call them adults. Right. They're responsible for themselves in all other cases, and we're giving them power over their own image. You know, their own names, images, and likenesses.
Yep.
And they should have that. And so I think that it's really good that California is. I don't say this often, right? California is doing a good thing. I don't say it often. California is nonsense.
I go on record as saying I've never heard Ryan say that before.
California is nonsense, right? I don't want to get too political, but
it's just, this is a very political issue.
But you're empowering individuals control over their own selves.
Yep,
and allowing them to market themselves as needed.
And we all know, like, as I said earlier, this is going to change everything.
It will.
I don't know what college athletics is going to look like in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
4 years.
Well, no, but once it gets going.
Yeah.
You know, whenever you make any kind of change, there's all kinds of things that were unexpected.
Well, they're going to bust NCAA rules, right? So
NCAA is going to change. They're going to change.
It has to happen in 4 years.
The NCAA can make a rule change tomorrow.
I know, but
there's no board of trustees or whatever.
I'm just saying the quickness in which it has to happen is 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, we may have something before the national championship this season,
or they'll just kick all the California schools out.
Well, yeah,
I mean, good luck with that. They're not
good, because I hate USC.
They're not going to do that. Yeah. Well, don't we all? It's Ohio, USC, and
I don't hate Ohio.
You don't hate Ohio State. Ohio State.
I don't hate Ohio State.
You don't hate Ohio State?
I mean, no.
They're like the Yankees of the college football.
Oh, no.
Everyone hates Ohio State.
I hate Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty terrible.
Yeah, no one likes it. You've been to South Bend?
I have not. Why would I go to South Bend? What do you mean, have I ever been to South Bend?
Don't go to South Bend.
Yeah, I went there for a Pete Buttigieg speech.
Well, you know what? That'd be very believable. All right, let's close it on the fair play to
We're about
act
an hour and a half
well.
in, man.
Yeah, this is going to be our longest. I'm going to try to close it up a little bit. I'm actually skipping a subject. We can talk about another day. Let's see. There is one thing I want to talk about. So I went to the Falcons game on Sunday because I go to all the Falcons games.
I'm sorry.
Home, yeah. But so here's one thing that happened. So as a Georgia State fan, we've witnessed a lot of bad seasons. I'm at the Falcons game, and early in the first quarter, fans are booing the Falcons as they're coming off the field. I don't think I've ever booed Georgia State.
No, that's pretty. That's not very classy. It sounds like something. It sounds like Eagles behavior.
Yeah, right.
Eagles fans. I mean, they spit on their players, but like, it's not. It's not. Cool.
They throw batteries at Santa Claus in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean they're miserable.
But I mean, it was something I wanted to bring up because at what point is there a point where you boo your own team?
I mean, maybe, but I don't feel like I've seen it.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much talent on that Falcons team that those players aren't the ones deserving of the booing. And
that's for sure.
When you're booing, you don't have the ability to signify who you're booing at. So they could be booing at the refs. They could be booing.
But if they're coming off the field, you're booing the players.
Maybe booing at the coaches. Maybe booing at the guy in front that has gas or something. I don't know.
Some rando.
But there's a lot of booing. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I mean, I was not happy with the performance whatsoever at all. I don't want to get too far into Falcons specifically because I have a lot of opinions on that. But this is just me. I don't think it's classy for a fan base to do.
Well, and like, was it the offense? Because our offense is actually like killing it right now. Like,
what was it? It was the offense coming off the field that we were booing.
Matt Ryan is like number 5 in standard fantasy right now. Yeah. I mean, he's actually killing it.
He's doing a good job.
And like our offense seems like they're doing a job. Devontae Freeman is not necessarily he's not the superstar that you think he should be, but he is doing the job that he's paid to do.
So we shouldn't boo fans, right? Or we shouldn't boo players.
I think you can boo them, but not.
There's gonna be a specific thing that's gotta happen.
It's gotta be bad.
A very, very specific thing.
It's gotta be bad. Yeah, it's not really appropriate for the Falcons.
Don't boo the Panthers when they come off the field after giving up their 16th rushing touchdown of the day on Saturday.
Right up the middle.
Right in the middle. All right, we'll skip that as well.
Man, he had a lot of show notes.
Well, no, we talked a lot. All right, Let's close it up a little bit. We'll talk about what happened in the rest of the sports over the past week. Women's golf, we're very, very consistently 14th out of 16th out of the 3-day of tournament at Furman. And volleyball, not so hot. Women's soccer, not so hot.
Men's soccer, though?
Men's soccer, tied.
Okay, so we're still like undefeated?
Yeah, men's soccer is 4-0-3.
Yeah, all right.
That's pretty good.
3 ties.
Pretty good. I like
That's
it.
undefeated. We have never been beaten.
We are undefeated. We have never lost a game this year. Women's soccer 5-6-1, so just right under.
Oof.
Right under. Women's volleyball is been on a bad skid. They're 4-9.
That's not beach volleyball, though,
that
right?
Is not beach volleyball. We've got a couple games upcoming. 2 men's soccer games, Stetson and Mercer. Volleyball, South Alabama, Troy. Women's soccer, actually, this is funny. Women's soccer has Arkansas State Friday before the football game.
Cool. So they're all
So
traveling.
I'm wondering, are they traveling together?
Big Georgia State.
Well,
Arkansas State.
They get
Party.
They got this big old bus coming from Jonesboro all the way down to. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
That's a little far.
It's kind of funny.
What is that? Is that for the Memphis, right?
It's like 2.5 hours west of Memphis.
Yeah, it's too far.
Too far for what? A bus?
Just in general.
I
rode with you to Memphis one time. It was too far.
Yeah, it was a little far. Too far. Yeah. So, well, I think we're gonna call it quits after after an hour and a half. This is our so last week was our shortest show. This week is our longest show.
But we talked about like serious business.
We did. We talked about a lot of
NCAA.
stuff.
Oof.
Excellent. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in once again.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun for us these past 6 weeks doing it. Look forward to doing it to every week. Look forward to having you guys let us know what you think about it. So please do so. You can follow Ryan at Graham4GA on Twitter, and I am at David P. Brown. Thanks everybody for listening, and have a great week. Go Panthers. That's it for us this week. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Twitter at State of Atlanta or on Facebook at facebook.com/State of Atlanta. And if you enjoy what you're listening to, please rate and review us on your podcast app. Thank you very much, and go Panthers.